All right. It's the Beanie and Beefy podcast. Mine's the Beanie plus the Beefy, you know. And I guess we could get rid of some of this stuff on the screen because we don't need all that bullshit blocking our way. This ain't the main show.
So not just
we
a way to
hide some of that.
Undo it with one.
So
The dog was making weird noises.
This is the COVID episode, maybe the COVID review, the Covid-19 2020. You know what I'm saying? And
it's been terrible.
I think we should get into it. So I think we should start with, how did you feel about COVID prior to catching COVID? Like, what was your thought? Because there are a lot of opinions on what's real, what you should do to prevent it, how it feels, what's going to happen if you get it.
I mean,
I think we should start with, before the beginning even, I think we should start with, how did we feel about COVID before contracting it?
I definitely feel like I didn't think it was as serious as everyone pushed it to be, but I also didn't think that it was just a, like, everyone's being big babies type thing. I don't know if it's because I had people that, like, I work with and stuff that had people that actually were getting sick from COVID, or I worked with people that did. So I knew that it was at least decently serious.
Yeah.
I definitely had no issue with the whole, like, wear masks and stuff like that and the, like, social distancing. I feel like that was probably definitely needed. What about you?
I thought it wouldn't be as serious as most people thought it would be, like you were saying. I think there was a lot of hype to it, but I also was very paranoid about it. I was worried about what it could turn into, and I was always, in my back of my head, I was always, like, worried and scared about, like, what this really was, because I've talked about before, I don't take anything at face value. I'm always waiting for a second story, you know?
Right.
Because it's hard to trust people on the internet, and I know this is weird coming from someone that's
on the internet
communicating to you through the internet, but it's always been strange to me to take someone else's word just from seeing a video. So you see people that talk about how it's not a big deal, and you're like, okay. But then you see people talk about that how it's this crazy thing we should worry about, and it's also still like, eh. But I guess to me, like, I try not to be cynical through most of my life. And I feel like that doesn't really work too well for me because I do end up being the person waiting for the worst.
Yeah.
And so, with the COVID stuff, I was always waiting for it to get worse and worse. And I know it is already terrible. There's no worse for a lot of people. There's a lot of people that have passed away from it.
Yeah.
And I would never downgrade anything that those people have went through because I know losing someone's never easy. And even to something that a lot of people have recovered from, it would still be a terrible loss, and other people can't recover from something so easily.
Well, and I feel like we also had the issue that, like, we have a 6-year-old in our household.
Mm-hmm.
I've had heart surgeries and shit. Like, you had a lot of worry.
Well, my
like, you have a
issues
kid, and, like...
As far as medical issues go, I have pancreas issues. It's never anything, like, it doesn't have anything to do with respiratory. I wasn't worried about COVID and that kind of stuff. But it was always just like, I always felt like I was, like, waiting for something worse to happen.
Right.
With COVID. And I know, like I said, for a lot of people it doesn't get worse than it already is. And I could never sympathize with you enough. And I couldn't imagine that type of thing. But for me, I always had thought before I got it that it was a lot worse described than it was. But it never stopped that kind of worry going on in my head.
Right.
I never had a problem wearing a mask. It's always been, if I can protect other people, I will.
Right. Yeah, the mask thing was never an issue.
To me, with a mask, as far as I'm concerned, if there's a 1% chance of wearing a mask helping somebody else, then I'll wear the mask, man. If I even have the slightest chance of doing some good with the mask, it doesn't hurt me any to wear it. I will just wear the mask, and it'll hopefully help somebody else along the way.
Because let me tell you, that whole asymptomatic, people are not sick but possibly carrying it, is how we got sick.
Yeah, I guess that kind of goes into the next subject of, like,
how we got it.
we were exposed to COVID-19. So, I guess to break it down, we have to explain that our daughter is technically my daughter, and she's the stepmom. And so, her biological mother sent her to a babysitter. Sorry, I keep yawning, man. I'm drinking a lot. We've been in the dark for a little bit.
Yeah.
So my melatonin's going strong right now. But her biological mother sent her to a babysitter. And then while my daughter was there, the babysitter contracted COVID and tested positive. So picking my daughter up from the babysitter exposed us to COVID. And we didn't get the official test. We didn't get nothing shoved up our nose. We didn't go and get tested because our daughter was exposed to COVID, and she came to our house exposed. And then within the next 2 days, we both felt sick. So to us, there was no point in getting tested. We don't need the hospital bill or to worry about anything about that when we know we were exposed to coronavirus.
And then we ended up
and then we were sick within 48 hours. So
you're full of yawns.
I know. I don't know what's going on. I would literally just talk for like 20 minutes without yawning. And then as soon as we start recording, I'm yawning. So it was kind of unnecessary for us to get tested. I guess if you don't want to believe us because we weren't tested, it's no skin off my back. Like I said, you can't take anybody's opinion on the internet as fact. And we're just people on the internet right now. But to me, catching it was no big deal. We had gotten back from vacation. Our daughter spent a week with her biological mother because we'd had her on vacation. And then coming back, she came into contact with someone that was exposed. Which, initially, I was mad that there was even a chance that she got exposed. But I understand the fact that a lot of miscommunications happen. People don't tell things that they should. And it's the same thing with the mask, because people aren't treating it as seriously as they should.
Yeah.
So, we got exposed. Within 48 hours, we had symptoms. I started off with very congested. My nose was running. I couldn't breathe through my nostrils. And then within 24 hours of that, my nose was just in pain. Like I had a sinus infection. I couldn't breathe.
I started out with body aches. My entire body hurt. Even just like changing positions in bed, it made my body hurt. And I had the nose and the congestion like heated, but mine wasn't as severe. But mine started with body aches, and then mine turned into I couldn't breathe. My chest was aching. Mine was all respiratory. Mine was all in my like chest and my lungs.
And then within the first few days, mine really wasn't chest issues. I had a lot of sinus issues. Like I was saying, my sinuses hurt really bad. I couldn't breathe through my nose. I had a really bad shortness of breath, to where a lot of simple things would wind me, and then I really couldn't breathe too well. But I didn't really have like the body aches or the chest pain like a lot of people do.
Yeah, we definitely got like opposite symptoms. Yours were all, like I said, up, head, nose.
Mine were upper respiratory and yours were lower.
Mine was all lower. Half my lungs don't work, and then so it was just even more. I felt like I couldn't catch my breath. Like I wasn't having a lot of shortness of breath, but I felt like I couldn't catch my breath. I felt like I was just consistently out of breath.
Yeah, mine felt really bad about being out of breath. Like I didn't vape for like almost a week, and a lot of issues like that. I wouldn't smoke that much, and it was just honestly the biggest thing you think of is a cough when you think of COVID, and I didn't get a cough until like probably the last 2 days of my symptoms getting bad.
I didn't cough like at all.
I think as far as progression goes, like to where your symptoms are getting worse, I think my symptoms started on like day 2. And then they got worse for about 5 days. So the first week was like the worst. The getting peak. Worse and worse and worse and worse. Every day it's worse. And then by like day 8 or 9, it's when you really, where we felt the the peak of it was.
Yeah.
Which was, I guess we should say, the day that we were exposed was not the Sunday that the last episode was supposed to be after of One Star Hip Hop, but the Sunday after the last live show we did.
Yep.
So it was immediately after the show, we got done, and we went and picked up our daughter, and were exposed.
Yep.
And then we were continually getting worse for about a week, and then started to feel better the last couple of days.
Yeah, I'd say so. And we're both still sniffly and congested. Yeah. But I guess it stays in your system for 3 months, no matter what. So I assume it's just gonna be off and on being sick until it's out of our system.
Yeah, I was mostly just short on breath and sniffly for like a few days, and then
you had a fever.
Yeah, I came into my game room, office room, set room, whatever you want to call it. It's where we film the shows, and it's where I come in here to play video games. But I came in here one night. I didn't feel any problems. I had the shortest of breath like usual. I couldn't sit here and smoke weed like I usually do. And I was just worried about staying hydrated because I thought my lack of hydration was causing my sinus infection because I'm stuffed up. I'm not staying hydrated. That means my mucus is getting thicker, and I'm worried about an infection. So I'm just sitting in my room watching YouTube, listening to music, drinking water, and I just out of nowhere was like, I'll check my temperature. Let me see, because I'm paranoid that it's getting worse.
Right.
Because I'm always paranoid for the worst. And so I checked my temperature, and I could have sworn my thermometer was broken. I will check my temperature 1 second. I'm at 98. Okay, a degree over where I'm supposed to be. I wouldn't call that a fever. Whoop-de-doo. I check it 2 minutes later, 101.5. So that's kind of something to worry about, you know? Like, my temperature's 101, but I'm sitting here like I am now, t-shirt, sweatpants, and I feel fine. I'm not worried about, like, how I feel. I don't feel fevery. My skin doesn't ache. I'm not, like, hot flashes.
Right.
I feel fine. And so I think I would call that night my turning point. Is to where I'm sitting here all night checking my temperature, and I'm bouncing back all night. I'm 99 degrees, 101, 98, 100, 99, 101.5.
Yeah.
Like, I'm bouncing back all night. I think my thermometer's broken. She tests it.
I tested
she
it
rings 98 5 times in a row.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on. I just keep checking it. I don't feel feverish. I don't feel sick even. Like, I feel like that night was where I'm like, I feel a lot better tonight. But I'm getting these 102 degree fever readings off of the thermometer that's working accurately for someone else.
Yeah.
So I really thought that night was where I was getting very, very sick. But then I wake up the next day and fever,
you took meds and
I took 2 Tylenol.
Yeah.
And was just no fever, no nothing the next day, and it was just gone.
And the entire time we're feeling terrible, having all of these symptoms, our daughter's nose is stuffy. And that's it.
Yeah, our 6-year-old daughter turned 6 this year in July, was exposed to coronavirus in
Got us sick.
September. Or no, not even September. It was August. She was exposed in August, and she got us sick, and the stuffy nose was the worst she had.
Yeah.
She coughed a couple times. She didn't have a persistent cough, and there's a couple times she did cough that were just, I think, kind of her choking on what she was drinking or whatever. But completely asymptomatic.
Yeah. Didn't get... And even then, she has a stuffy nose probably 9 months out of the entire year. Like, she's always got a stuffy nose. So she was fine the entire time. She was trying to go, and
she was mostly upset at us about not being able to keep up with her kind of play schedule with us being sick.
Yeah.
And so it's weird to see, like, the demographic that would most likely be affected by the virus was the one that was completely unharmed with our child, which I know is just situational and circumstantial, and it's not how it is with everyone. And I don't downgrade the virus in any way by saying this, but I think it's incredibly I think I'm incredibly grateful, and I'm forever grateful that she did not get anywhere near as sick as us, even though our sickness was still nowhere
near what some people get.
We weren't even close to what we should worry about or what is fatal to some people. And then even then, our daughter strayed so far away from that.
Yeah, and so I definitely understand the, like, wear masks, be careful kind of thing, because the asymptomatic thing is, like, legit. Like, you could be fine, but still be carrying it. So
even then, we're filming this on Saturday, right after the One Star Hip Hop episode. And I'm sure this will get uploaded Monday. But, even then, I feel like as a 2-week quarantine, I don't feel like I'm comfortable enough being around people that are around children.
Yeah.
Like, as our quarantine ends for us, it would be tomorrow.
Tomorrow will be the end of
I really don't feel okay inviting any parents to my house or anyone like that, because it's hard to just call a deadline on something like this. Like, something that could possibly kill someone. It's hard to say, oh, well, it's been this exact amount of hours, so now it's immediately non-lethal.
Especially for the factor of we're both still sick.
I mean, yeah, we have sniffles. I don't really have a cough anymore. I think, like, a good way to determine that is I can really smoke dabs now.
Yeah.
And, like, I can take, like, a decent-sized dab.
I don't think I could do a dab right now.
To the point where I was, like, before, I would, like, do a little baby dab. Because, like, when we finally went on quarantine, I PayPal one of my homies and was like, hey, I'm going to be locked in my house for 2 weeks. You want to go pick me up 3 grams of dab? So he came over and brought it for me, dropped it in my backyard.
Dropped it in the backyard on a table. No contact.
And we made it all work. But even then, I just haven't been smoking. I really haven't been keeping up with that kind of stuff. It's not been my worry, I guess. When something's going on like this, I'm not worried about staying not sober because I'm mostly sleeping.
Yeah.
But I just feel like when I was sick, I already take very small dabs. I am what I like to call a microdoser. I very much do not smoke a lot. I take little hits throughout the day.
Yeah.
Just to kind of keep shit at ease, It's not to, like, stay fucked up. But even at that point, I could not do that.
Yeah.
Even a little bit of breathing, like, even just my vape, it really fucked me up. I was out of breath. I was really in a bad place to where there was no way I could keep up a nicotine... Bless you. There's no way I could keep up a nicotine addiction. So... at that point, it really wasn't a big deal, and that's how I feel like I'm really starting to get better, is my lung capacity is really letting me... I mean, it's a fucked up way to say it, but yeah, my lung capacity is actually letting me smoke weed. To the point where I can, like, take dabs and be okay.
We're also surrounded by fire, so our air quality is shit right now. So that's also not going to help in any means to be able to, like...
But we also lucked out big time. We caught coronavirus... And full disclosure, I was behind on child support payments because a lot of drama that doesn't need to be explained on the internet. Yeah, I'm not even a fucking fake explanation or false or short. I'm just not even going to talk about it. But according to the state, I'm behind on law, or behind... yeah. According to the state, I'm behind on child support payments. So... when the stimulus check came out, we were married, so both of our stimulus checks were together, and child support took them. But right when we hit quarantine, like almost the very next day, her stimulus check got deposited. So we had the money to support us for the 2 weeks to help keep our daughter entertained. We bought her a pool, we bought her new toys, bought her a bunch of stuff so she would
just be able to keep up and it not exert us.
So she could have a good time being locked up for 2 weeks. And
because she also is, her schooling was in, like, they're doing school in school, but because she was exposed, she was now out of school for 2 weeks as well.
So that really helped us, like, keep up with keeping her entertained and helping to explain to her that we really can't see other people.
Yeah.
But that we have to stay home and things like that. Like, it helped her be okay with that kind of thing. Yeah. Because I know she doesn't understand it fully. She's 6 years old. And even then, she's slower on the learning side. So it really helped us, like, keep her cool with the fact of being home for 2 weeks when she's not used to that.
No, because when she is with her mother, she has siblings, and with us, she's only child. She doesn't have other kids to keep her entertained.
So it really helped with her. But she was completely asymptomatic. Her mother was really sick.
Her brothers were sick.
Her brothers were sick. Me and her stepmom, the dad and stepmom, were pretty sick. We weren't like, it wasn't enough to warrant a lot of worry, but I'm so grateful and appreciative of the people that do check in on us.
Yeah.
And that did come through and ask how we're doing and what it's like and what's going on. And the things that they did ask, it meant a lot to me to see people that I not necessarily thought of as secondary friends, but I didn't think they considered me true friends that were checking in on us and making sure we're totally okay and things like that. It meant the world to me to see people messaging us like that. But
definitely could have been a lot worse than what it was.
I think we made it through pretty well.
The majority of it. Now it's just...
We had a couple shitty days.
Yeah.
And now I think it's just the residuals, getting over the sniffles. I think a lot of the sniffles could be allergies. We came back through fall, and I get bad allergies in Michigan. That's where we came from right when we got sick.
Yeah.
I was dealing with allergies towards the end of the vacation and coming back and stuff.
I don't deal with allergies too bad, but like I said... Probably just gonna have residual sickness in our system for a little while, and
I heard it takes like a month to get over the cough.
Yeah. Some people, it's been months, and they say that they still feel absolutely terrible.
All I know is as long as you feel bad, you ain't catching it again, though.
That is true.
So that's also the thing is, no matter how much you're not catching it again, you have to not be selfish, and we have to constantly worry about, I'm still sniffling, I'm still coughing. It's like, do I invite people over? Do I have friends over?
Yeah.
Like, I know that the CDC says, technically the CDC says 10 days after your first symptoms is when you're not contagious. But it's also a very new thing, and we can't really trust what everybody says.
Yeah.
And it worries me. I'm not normally a very social person.
We spend a lot of our time at home.
I don't go out of my way to see people. I enjoy the people I talk to, and I cherish them very much. But I don't go out of my way to push people to see me, and I don't go out of my way to get into people's comfort zones. You know what I mean?
And I luck out because I do in-home health care where I work in the same home with these same 3 people. And I don't work in the public to where I'm around a bunch of people. I'm not making people's food. None of that.
Yeah, my thing is, it's just, it's hard to find a point where you want to, because we're told this whole time by the government, these issues are very bad, and then we catch it, and it's not that bad. And so we worry the whole time about, what point do we see people?
Yeah.
At what point can I have my friend come over and listen to some music with me and not worry about him getting sick just because we're hanging out?
Right, because it wasn't terrible for us, but it could be completely different for a different person. It seems strange
to me to be like, you quarantine for 2 weeks, so today, if someone were to come over today, they would get sick. But tomorrow is 2 weeks, so if they come over tomorrow, they wouldn't get sick.
Right, especially
that's
because...
the point where it sounds weird to me, and I think that's a good transition into, like, how do we feel about Corona now?
Well, especially because, like, a lot of other sicknesses...
You can keep talking. I have to piss again, though. I'm fucking drunk.
A lot of other sicknesses, you're not contagious 48 hours after taking a medication. But you can't really... There's no medications for COVID. It's take Tylenol and stuff. And, I mean, I guess if we would have been seen, they could have given us, like, a steroid and stuff like that. But that's only if you're having really bad breathing problems. But there's no medication for COVID. So there's no 48 hours, 72 hours after taking medication that you're not contagious. They just basically say that the virus dies off after 2 weeks. But what's to say that some of that's not still just hanging around?
Well, another scary part, I heard you from the bathroom.
That's what I figured. I'm loud.
Another scary part is, it describes it as, you can see people 10 days after your symptoms show. Or 14 days after you're exposed. Well, what do you really describe as your symptoms showing? Because I have allergies normally. So is my stuffy nose and lack of hydration lead to my sinus infection that I thought was my COVID? Or do I count my fever as my highest point of sickness, and that's where the 10 days starts? But then at the same time, most jobs don't count that. So I don't really understand where we would show our most, what do you call it, contagion. Like, where do we really show when we're most contagious? There's not enough information out on the internet of it.
Especially because if I were to take the COVID test today, and I get my results back in a week, I have to quarantine from work another 2 weeks after I get that positive test back. And you
could take it 3 months from now. If we test positive for COVID right now,
we still have it in our system for 3 months. We will test positive
for at least 3 months. And so that's the thing is, like, why is it okay to talk to people after 2 weeks if it's still in our system for 3 months?
Yeah.
And so that's what worries me is because I can't imagine. I really couldn't fathom the kind of guilt I would feel if I go to someone's house and I found out their kid contracts COVID because I was over there. Or
their grandma, or like
anything. Like even them, like it's so like disheartening to kind of think of those kind of situations. Like at what point, like you're telling me it's okay, but what if I go over there and something happens and I'm gonna blame myself my whole
right
and like God forbid, worst case scenario, what if someone passes away from someone that I was associated with, like with that, like. How could you possibly live with yourself in those kind of situations? And even if you were given the correct information of, like, this is when you're not contagious.
Right, you follow everything, like, to the dot of what you're supposed to do.
You can't trust people, though, because it's such a new thing that, like, following it to the dot is following someone else's rules still.
Right, especially because, I mean, next week they could release something else that it's like, oh, we discovered something, now you have to quarantine for, like, a month. Like... It's so new that there's just so much unknown to it.
It's so hard to try to contemplate, like, starting a normal life again.
Yeah.
That I'm not sure how I feel about it afterwards, honestly. Like, this whole podcast has led up to, like, what do we think about COVID after contracting it? And
I definitely think that COVID should be taken pretty serious. There's a lot of people that think that, like, COVID's nothing. Like, we're all overreacting. I'm not going to quarantine this and that. And
I literally unfollowed someone today for making a joke out of it.
I'm just like,
there's a bass player. I shouldn't call out people. A bass player for a concert series that I had attended in the past. He isn't a band. He's not in a band. He's just a bass player that got lucky and worked with a rapper that I know. And he posted something about Florida bars opening up, and someone commented on it, and all they said was, "I hope it's all safe and doesn't close up again." And he's like, "Oh, well, I'm sure it'll close at 2 a.m. because that's when most bars close, and this stuff's just fake. I'm not gonna wear a clown mask around and pretend like I'm worried." And I was like, well, I mean, as an artist, as a regular person, you should be concerned about the people around you.
Well, yeah.
And then as an artist, you should be promoting the type of lifestyle that benefits other people and doesn't suppress them. And to me, to be an artist and to fully go out and discredit a whole
it's a global
thousands
pandemic.
of people passing away. I don't care if it's older people or not. Like, if my grandma passed away because of COVID-19, and this artist had promoted that he doesn't think this is real and we should be able to go out and drink in a bar, I would 100% be in his comments talking shit until he blocked me.
Just fucking
and so as a regular, this hasn't happened to me. Thank God it hasn't happened to me. I haven't had anyone pass away from COVID. But I couldn't imagine to see someone you respect as an artist to go out of their way to make it a point to make fun of something that has ended the lives of so many people.
I was gonna say,
I won't deal with it. I will just unfollow you. I'm sorry. I just don't want to see it, man.
My boss's
Even if you
mom
make good
passed
music,
away from
I just
COVID. Like,
that's not. I just don't want to see it, dude. People pass away from this, and you're gonna make it a joke.
yeah.
I don't care, dude. Your music is nowhere near good enough for me to compare it to someone else's life.
It's genuinely a thing. Like, it didn't feel like a common cold. Like,
that's what I was talking to someone. I would just in quote someone. I was talking to someone, and it was explaining. They kept asking me how I was doing, and I was like, "Yeah, it fucking sucks, dude. I'm fucking over it. This is bullshit." And they were just like, "Yeah, well, the flu always sucks," and I was like,
"This isn't the flu.
I would 100% rather have the flu, dude.
I would rather vomit for 2 to 3 days
than
not be able
like
to breathe for
breathe.
a week."
Yeah.
Like, the flu is a cakewalk compared to not being able to breathe. And so it's crazy that people are just like, no, it's fake. It's just to distract everyone. Nothing's really going on. It's insane because people are sick. People are dying from it.
I think it's both.
It's
a severe sickness. A lot of people have passed away from it. A lot of people get over it.
Yeah.
And recover. But I think it's also a ploy to distract people and to get people riled up. The same way everything else is. It's people being divisive, and it's people, especially with this year being an election year. I know the whole thing is globally happening, but I think it's really played up in America to be a really big thing that plays into the election. But at the same time, I can't imagine even thinking about the situation and playing it down the way it is in America.
And just saying that it's not real. That's what I think
imagine
is crazy.
just trying to protect people around you, man. Just if, like, a mask doesn't hurt you, just love thy neighbor, man. Like, the guy next to you doesn't know what it's like to be you. Just keep fucking protecting yourself and them, man. Like, quit fucking around.
And especially because so many places have made it to work where if you're really against wearing a mask, if you can't wear a mask, they've worked it around.
Well, they don't stop you.
You can do grocery pickup.
They don't stop you. There's a lot of places they won't stop you. They'll let you come in without a mask. They have no...
They can't.
They won't physically hold you down and put a mask on your face. And that's what you guys are getting off on. Is like, oh, I'll just walk in and not do it, man. I'm so cool. Like, come on, dude.
You're not in the store for more than an hour.
Dude.
It doesn't change your oxygen levels.
My only plea is just think about other people, man. Like, how can you not imagine a grandma that comes in for a gallon of milk for her grandkid to have cereal?
Yeah.
And, I mean, they have the fucking wheelie carts, bro. Like, that grandma can't even walk, and she just wants a gallon of milk for her kid or her grandkid.
And at least if you're
gonna get her sick because you didn't want to wear a fucking mask while you're getting your fucking Cookie Crisp, bro.
And if you're not gonna wear a mask when you see the little old lady in the wheelie cart, stay fucking 6 feet back from her. Like, at least take the other precautions. That's what I'm
saying. Not even that, dude. If you're gonna not wear a mask, you're gonna be how you are. And that's what I'm saying. You want to go in and be a fuck, and you want to, oh, this ain't real, this ain't nothing, and you go in and get a gallon of milk. And then I go in, and half hour later as an old grandma that has nothing, and I reach for the same door as you. Well, now I'm fucking sick because you think you're a little fuckboy that doesn't deserve a mask, man. That's what I'm saying. I truly try to not talk shit about anybody, and I try to take a neutral stance, and I try to understand everyone in every situation I'm involved in. But I don't understand. If there's a 1% chance of you helping somebody else, and you choose not to wear a mask because you think it's some government ploy, I don't understand it, man. Like, what does it hurt you so bad that you can't choose to help somebody else over it?
You know, they also make face shields. They make other ways around it. The bottom half of my lungs don't work properly. The whole point is people
they think it's a government thing that they want the government to comply. Or they think the government wants them to comply.
And they're trying to control you and this and that. And let me tell you, you got a social security number. Like, there's no escaping the government. Let me guess, you get in your car, you put your seatbelt on, like...
Well, not even that. It's just the fact of, like, if you think that you shouldn't comply to unruly rules, and you don't think you should have to deal with the government telling you what to do... Take it up on the issues that actually deal with things that you shouldn't have to do. Don't, just because the government's telling you to wear a mask doesn't mean you shouldn't because you're anti-government.
Yeah.
You should, if you're anti-government and you think people shouldn't rule us and tell us what to do, then you should already be ready to protect thy neighbor and defend them based on your own instinct and not the government, because the government doesn't have to tell you to. Like, I just couldn't imagine putting someone else's, like, as scared as I was, being someone that's, like, I would say mostly rational, to where I understand that it's not a serious, like, incurable disease, but at the same time, I know it can be serious. I just can't understand not wearing a mask. Like, just help someone else that's not you, man. I can't understand. I don't know another plea than just, like, think about someone else. It isn't all about you. I just don't understand a life that you could live that you're only worried about yourself.
Fucking right.
And I know it's shitty to say, and it's like a lot of people disagree, and I'm sure people don't agree with me right now, especially in the area that I grew up in. It's extremely conservative, and I'm sure tons of people hate masks, but I mean, come on,
it's 5
dude.
minutes. 10 minutes.
How long are you in the store?
You could take it off the second you walk in. Our fucking 6-year-old wears a mask with no problem.
I just can't imagine you willingly putting someone else's life at risk because you think it's a government ploy. Like, that's what I'm saying. Even if there's a fraction of a chance that you're helping somebody, why not take that chance, man?
Yeah, that fraction shouldn't
You know how
matter.
good it feels to help somebody else? Just fucking do it, dude. Like, have you never, ever, ever worked or helped for somebody else? Like, wearing a mask is the easiest way on earth to help somebody else. And you can do it every single day of your life. And be fine.
For 5 minutes. You're not in a
store
that long.
So I guess without a segue, I think that kind of sums up how we feel about it afterwards. Is we know it's not serious to the majority of people. And if you're a younger guy or a younger gal, come into contact with whoever you want. Do whatever you want. I don't care.
Probably take it a little bit more serious than what you think.
If you are someone that comes into contact with children or older people, please, come on, just wear a mask. Just put on gloves. If you know you've been exposed,
stay
quarantined
home
for 2 weeks, man. Asymptomatic is a serious thing. Our daughter, 6 years old, showed one symptom out of like 15. And you would have never assumed it was coronavirus. There was no way that you would ever think she had COVID. She's completely asymptomatic, man. Tons of people are. If you've been exposed, just stay home. What's the harm in staying home for 2 weeks, bro? Sit on YouTube. Sit on Facebook, TikTok, all your bullshit.
I know half y'all's jobs.
Watch The Office again.
Offer, like, routes to make it manageable.
Just come on, man. Stay safe. That's all anybody needs is we all want to be safe. There's no reason of risking someone else's safeness for your comfort.
Wear a mask, use hand sanitizer.
This has been a good podcast. I mean, I don't like to get political, and I hate that an actual
sickness is political.
It feels wrong that an actual medical issue is political.
Yeah.
But like I've said, we only came here to express our feelings and our opinions on COVID after and before receiving it. So we've had COVID, we've been through it, we've talked about it, how before and after. It's just
definitely changed how I looked at it. So
it's just think a little bit harder, man. It's a little bit of thought goes a long way when it comes to something that could be spread as easily as COVID is.
You don't want to be...
Just think about it for 5 minutes about whether your fucking McDouble is worth giving it to the lady at McDonald's that's going to touch
her baby when she gets home.
Well, 100 other people's foods that will touch their kids when they get home. Is your McDouble worth the lady behind you that's getting 10 McDoubles for her whole family getting sick? Like,
you don't want to be the reason you infect a baby or an old person that gets really sick from it.
Yeah, just
not everyone gets lucky.
The main point, just
think of other people.
Think a little bit harder about what's going on. Don't take into consideration everything you're hearing. Just think a little bit harder.
Don't get your news from Facebook.
Other than that, this has been a heavy episode, man. It's been
a heavy 2 weeks.
We haven't had a lot of after party episodes going on lately. I'm very sorry about that. It's hard for me to do it on my own. it's hard for me to be funny on a topic like this. But we wanted to go through. We thought it'd be a nice perspective.
Yeah. People wanted it too.
We hear about COVID all day from Facebook people, from
Everyone.
Twitter, from the news articles, and I don't know. I don't want to use it as a platform to get noticed off of, but I thought it would be a unique perspective to talk about something that we both went through.
Yeah. That's something currently going on.
We missed last Saturday because of COVID, and
couldn't breathe, couldn't talk.
Yeah, we couldn't even. I was gonna do it alone, and I personally couldn't get through full sentences with like keeping my breath and like not having to like. So we canceled the episode. We redid it yesterday, or well, it was Friday for yesterday for us, not for you guys, because you'll be seeing this Monday.
You'll see this Monday.
But I felt like it was a unique perspective. Maybe not unique for a lot of people that have had it, but unique for people that don't really understand what's going on, man. Like it's not as serious as you think for people our age, and I feel like a lot of our demographic is people our age, but you have to think about who you're coming in contact with every day.
Well, yeah.
Are you around children? Are you around elders? Like, you have to really think about what's going on in your life to think if you can really expose yourself to this kind of thing and feel comfortable consciously, morally, man. Like, can you morally sit there and tell me that you would come to my house and get exposed and then go to your grandmother's house, go to your daughter's house, or your son's house, go to your grandpa, anything like that? Do you feel morally acceptable exposing other people to something that you know could be fatal?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that's something you have to answer in the comments. I hope it's not. I hope we all agree that we would never want to pass something like this on to someone else, and we could just easily quarantine for 2 weeks and be alone. The internet is such a connecting power that being home for 2 weeks shouldn't matter.
Yeah.
We should be able to... I mean, if you're home for 2 weeks, you have COVID, and you don't have anyone to connect to, man, check out our Facebook, One Star Hip Hop, or facebook.com/one-star-stream, and you will find our Discord channel, and get a hold of me, man. I'll talk to you if you want. If you're feeling lonely in your COVID quarantine, man, hit me up. I got you. We'll sit here and bullshit about nothing. I don't care. Yeah. We'll sit here for our cough for the next couple weeks, huh? But please take this seriously if you know anything else, man.
We don't fucking mask.
We don't have a lot of serious issues coming up. We like to joke a lot. We like to bullshit. But as the title will tell you, this is about COVID, and we really want to spread how we actually feel about something. I'm sorry if you disagree. I hope we don't lose you as a fan, but if we do, I mean, that's not something we can control. If your opinion is that strongly about what we're saying, then I just can't control how you feel. I'm sorry. You'll do whatever you want regardless. I hope you have a wonderful life, and truly bless you as long as you don't intentionally hurt someone else. You know what I'm saying? If you don't agree with me, it's totally okay. I will never be hurt about that. That's
not
life.
Everyone gets along. Can't force everyone to
I will never ask you to change your opinion just to support me, or to just nothing like that, man. Always talk about your opinion. Encourage open discussion. Always, always, always. Never shut somebody down because of their opinion. I always support open discussion. I love it. I encourage it. I always will. Through any sort of channel that I will put out my content on, I support open discussion. But this is one that we showed our opinion strongly on, and I feel like we will get recourse because of this. And I'm sorry if you disagree. If this angers you, I can't imagine it would. I try to be open, and I'm sorry if it does, but truly, I really hope people take it seriously in the cases that it deserves seriousness. If you're exposed, please quarantine. Please protect others. They don't deserve to suffer for other people's ignorance.
Yeah.
But, COVID review, man.
Yeah. I'd give it 0 stars out of 5.
I mean, that's going to be my first 0 star. I've never, ever given someone 0 stars, but
10 out of 10? Would not recommend.
Yeah, COVID sucked dick. Yeah. Other than that, man, I hope you guys continue to live well. I truly hope you do not contract COVID. It's not fun.
It's been pretty bad.
I hope if you do, you stay safe. And I'm like I said, I'm truly sorry if this is. I don't understand where political becomes moral or medical issue, but I really am not taking a political stand, and I truly do not care about politics in the sense of the divisiveness that they contribute to. But I'm really sorry if I offended anyone. Like I said, this is the most divisive episode we could come to, and I really don't mean it that way, but this is entirely how we feel about COVID and how we felt before it, after it, during. This is entirely opinionated. Please don't take this to heart. Don't take this as medical advice. This is just...
we ain't doctors.
I keep saying it, but truly, I just don't mean to offend anyone in the sense of the divisive state that is COVID right now.
Yeah.
Either way, we love y'all. This is the Beefy After Party, minus the beanie, plus the Beefy's chick.